In the world of professional golf, there exists an elite club. A club filled with legends, household names, and rising stars.
Been some outstanding shot making to this point. Let's see what's happening now as we resume the action at the 7th.
Been a steady performance so far early in this first round, but at some point, Frank, they need to take steady to spectacular.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Rich, and really sooner rather than later, that's for sure. But, yeah, steady becomes boring if it stays on for too long.
Now playing the second here at the par 4. Frank, you've been there. What's the best way to approach this next shot at the 7th hole?
There's a lot of mounding on this 7th green, to the right and the left. You can use those mounds to kick the ball to the flag.
Every once in a while, you're reminded this is a pretty hard game.
That was evidence.
Mishit, wrong club. What happened there, Frank?
All of the above, maybe. It's a little bit of a head scratcher. It wasn't that hard a shot.
Well, that's why on this golf course, Frank, there is a premium on hitting fairways.
You're exactly right. Might be also protecting against a fly, but that did anything other than fly.
Okay, good shot on the dance floor. Getting set now over the putt. I thought that was in.
Yeah, it looked good. I mean, line, pace. It's hard to be critical of that.
Well, once you hit double to par, it's time to just pick up and move on. TPC Sawgrass, the fabled stadium course designed by the legendary Pete Dye. Rich Lerner alongside Frank Nobilo. Here at the 8th, Frank, most players are happy walking out of here with a par 3.
And the reason why, it's a very narrow entry to this green.
Well, just needs to refocus right here. Out of bounds on that last shot, needs to keep this one in play. This will be the 3rd shot after being penalized for going out of bounds. Into the thick stuff, that's a difficult lie. ...110 yards to the flag. Frank, no doubt these players have dreams of winning the big championships, the majors someday, but at least to this point, you would have to say this is probably the biggest day of their golfing lives.
Golf, or professional golf, can be a little bit like snakes and ladders. They've got themselves on the ladder. If they can climb this one, the next ladder, the PGA Tour. But don't slip.
Frank, I think this is one of the most fascinating holes on the golf course. The 583-yard par 5 ninth hole.
With technology now, a lot more players can reach this par 5 and 2.
Frank, sadly, I've been there too often. In the water, you get down on yourself. What's the right way to approach this mentally?
Well, you've almost got to take a step backwards, Rich. This can add up so quickly. So give yourself a little pat on the back, say it's fine. I mean, you're human. You're allowed to hit bad shots. But the big thing now is to avoid 2 in a row.
Now on to his third shot after the last one went in. Frank, not easy to keep your eye on the target when you've just splashed down.
Yeah, but on the flip side, too, one bad shot doesn't have to lead to 2.
Still going, and going the wrong way. This is the 5th shot after that previous one went into the drink. Oh, a bit unfortunate. Wasn't able to avoid the sand trap. Been a bit of a disaster here. Digging into the bunker now to play the 6th shot. Well, no other way to say it, Frank. That's just an awful shot.
Bad.
That's a bit offline in the rough. All right, now another shot from the rough.
Yeah, this time better be better than the one we just saw. This is definitely not going down the fairway.
That doesn't look good. I think it's going to be in the deep rough. That's a disappointment right there, Frank.
Yeah, green light special, really. Come up considerably short.
Well, double par here. Time to pick up and move on. Frank, the nice thing about golf is that if you struggle on that front side, you can take a breath and you can regroup and you can get something going on the back 9.
During a round of golf, there's so many little things you can do, especially when you're a little awry. Check the...
NASA, we have a splashdown. So this will be the 3rd shot after taking the drop with the ball going in the water.
Whoop, this is taken off on a weird line.
And it's going to be in the rough, it looks like. Into the tall cabbage. That ball is swallowed up. This requires a lot of speed through the ball. That is tasty looking right there, Frank. Just a perfect spot in the fairway.
That is prime real estate. How do you get a lie like that? Seriously, you could hit any club from there. Rich, with a lie like that on the rough, you're going to get too much grass between club face and ball. You're going to have to adjust for that and at least take a club or 2 more.
Well, not quite enough on that one, Frank.
Yeah, coming out of the rough, not surprising, considerably short.
Time to just pick up and move on to the next hole. Hole number 11, 558-yard, par 5. Frank, players in attack mode here.
Yeah, just try and blitz it down there. There are other bunkers on the left to consider, but really, with that much fairway, this is a green light opportunity.
Now the 2nd shot to the par 5.
That's as bad a shot as I've seen for a long while.
Headed for the bunker, I think. And her golf ball lands in that first cut. Still can get a club on it, and let's see what she does from there. tugged that one a little bit offline to the left, and he'll pay a bit of a price because that rough is fairly thick. Frank made this hole just a little bit harder hitting it into the rough.
I would say a lot harder.
Well, look out. This could be wet, Frank. Might need some wings just to clear this hazard.
That water is looking rather intimidating.
Number 7, and nothing lucky about this one, Frank, after hitting it in the water.
It really starting to get away from the player right now, and this is, you can just see, starting to implode.
Never a pleasant moment, the drop after you've gone into the water, but here we are. Now the 9th shot after the last one found the drink.
Yeah, when this is all over, might want to jump in that water just to cool down.
Great professionals, Frank, they don't fear the greenside bunker shot, do they?
No, because you can be as aggressive or as conservative as you want. You actually have far more options, and you don't have to hit the ball first.
Well, not an especially good start to the tournament, Frank, through one round. They might be in jeopardy of missing the cut.
And they have to remember right now it's just one round, and they are, as you were saying, in the outside looking right in at the moment. But you never know. I've seen golf tournaments won from further back than this.
EA Sports and the Web.com Tour proudly present second round coverage of the Web.com Tour Championship.
Offline, and I think that one's headed for the rough.
Just trying to make clean contact from the rough.
Playing this par 4, still not on the green after that second shot.
But still not done. A good third shot. Maybe get away here with par.
That looked like a miss hit, Frank.
The lie was okay. It's a little surprising. Maybe wrong club.
Frank, in golf, as we know, there's short grass and there's long grass. We all want to be in that short grass, but it doesn't always work out that way. So what's the most important element from the shot, from the rough?
You have to be a little bit more conservative first and foremost because you can't guarantee a perfect strike out of the long grass. So therefore you have to look around the greens, maybe short, to the right, to the left, and realize what's involved. And also just give yourself a slightly bigger target.
Frank, how do you explain what we saw here?
It's a mess. It's probably the easiest way to put it. This case of anything that could go wrong, not just probably, it did. Oh, this is heading in the wrong direction.
Uh-oh. Frank, you've just hit one in the water. You don't want to compound the mistake. What's the mindset here?
This one right here, you've got to forget that big blue oasis in front of you.
So hit the previous shot in the water, took a drop, This now the third shot. Strategically, Frank, how do you like to play this hole?
You've got to be aware of where you don't want to go. That front right bunker is probably the easiest bunker shot in this hole, but there's a little pop bunker on the left. That one there, always difficult to get it up and down.
Don't leave it short. Wow. This one just requires a little bit of focus. Going to have to regroup now after that double bogey.
TPC Sawgrass, the fabled stadium course designed by the legendary Pete Dye. Rich Lerner alongside Frank Nobilo. And here at the 8th, Frank, most players are happy walking out of here with a par 3.
And the reason why, it's a very narrow entry to this green. It's just littered with bunkers around, left, behind, to the side, and even short. Once you get further up the green, though, even though this is an undulating green, it starts to widen up. So don't get trapped into just looking at the front of this hole.
Frank, this is where the mental game really comes into play. You've hit a second consecutive shot into the rough.
This could compound very, very quickly. So now's a chance to just take a little breath, take a breather, and try to make sure this shot certainly gets out.
That is always so disappointing from that kind of a spot when you come up short.
Yeah, you're licking your chops over that one. A shot you think you could hit directly at the flag. Now, test for the short game.
Frank, what do you make of the final hole here on the front side, the 583-yard par 5 ninth?
Just depends on how much you want to risk here. If you hit a good drive down the right side, it's certainly gettable for 2. But you can make an absolute...
In the water, too bad. Every once in a while you're reminded this is a pretty hard game.
That was evidence.
Frank, this is one you don't practice, but sometimes you have to do it. Time for the drop.
Yeah, it should be the easiest shot in golf. You've just paid for it. Hazard?
Maybe wet. Frank, I hate to go negative, but let's clear a few things up. The penalties when you hit it in the water versus hitting it out of bounds.
Yeah, some people, that's a good question, Rich, because some people think they're almost the same, but when you hit it out of bounds, you're actually losing a stroke and a distance. For example, if I'm teeing off on a par 4 and I hit it out of bounds, I'm penalised a stroke for hitting it out of bounds, and I'm hitting my third shot off the tee. When I hit it into a water hazard, I don't have to lose all of that distance. I can drop the ball up just short of the water hazard. So the distance penalty isn't the same as if it was out of bounds.
Not what you wanted to hear, but... Wow, really off the mark. Missed the green here. Shouldn't be a problem here, but not a formality either. Not a good hole of golf here. It is that time to pick up and move on. Missed cut. What happened, Frank?
Just not good enough. That's the easy way. Way too many shots out there, especially for that calibre of play. So put it in the memory banks, move forward, better days ahead.
This is EA Sports PGA Tour coverage coming your way. Today it's live opening round coverage of the Career Builder Challenge. Checking in on the action now, let's go down to the 6th.
Frank, when you get out of the gates, as our featured golfer has done, with a lot of pars, steady play, what's the mindset?
That ball is lost in the water. Now on to his 3rd shot after the last one went into the water. Not looking good, Frank.
I think it's wet.
So dropped a shot after ending up in the water on that recent miscue. Still going, and going the wrong way. This is the 5th shot after that previous one went into the drink. Appears to be a smart shot, Frank.
Yeah, no problem here. That's going to fly all the way.
Once you hit double par, it is time to just pick up and move on. Count that as a triple bogey. Ouch. Frank, if you want to play this game at the highest level, and no doubt our players do, you have to sort of be tactical. When you break down shots or break down a hole, how would you break down this hole? In a very smart way.
Yeah, I know what you're getting at there. A lot of people would think 350.
Unfortunately, that ball is wet. So this will be the 3rd shot after taking the drop with the ball going in the water.
This has to go in the hazard.
Thank goodness, Frank, back on dry land here.
As long as this one avoids it. Whoop, this is taken off on a weird line.
And it's going to be in the rough, it looks like.
Well, Mr. Ball does not meet Mr. Fairway. It's off, off, off. Rough.
Frank, this ball's in the rough. You like to hinge just a little bit quicker on the takeaway when the ball is down like this?
No, when it's down, you've just got to make sure that you wind up almost like you're hitting a tee shot. This is not one to be down.
Frank, we've all been there. You hit one in the water, you're down. How do you regroup?
You've got to start from scratch again. Everybody's going to hit bad shots. That's just the nature of the game. But compounding mistakes, that's the problem that you want to avoid.
So, in the water on the previous shot, now playing the 9th shot.
Well, when you talk about good players and great players, what's the difference? We've just seen it. Just one bad shot after the other.
Oh, man, not a good shot at all.
It was wicked.
How tough is this going to be now from the rough, Frank?
Oh, it's tough to say, Rich. I mean, so much is going to depend on that lie. I'm going to need a little bit of luck.
Frank, we've seen guys like Phil Mickelson hit it off the cart path. How tough is this shot?
Well, for a high-level professional, actually, it just looks harder than what it is. They'd rather here than the rough any day.
That's a disappointment right there, Frank.
Yeah, green light special, really. Come up considerably short.
Solid play, heart of the green.
Been pretty good all day from this distance, just trying to take care of business. Everything has gone wrong today. Just continues to.
$190-yard shot now. Frank, you always start out thinking about going low, but you know in this game you can end up feeling low. Always found this to be hard, Frank. You're seething, you're just fired up, you just knocked one out of bounds, and you have to kind of put it back together.
Yeah, this one better find the fairway.
Now this will be counted as the 4th shot after going OB on that previous shot. Frank, not easy to keep your eye on the target when you've just splashed down.
Yeah, but on the flip side, too, one bad shot doesn't have to lead to 2.
This is the 6th shot after that previous shot went into the wall. NASA, we have a splashdown. Played very poorly on the front, but still a chance to get it back here on the back 9.
Yeah, this is where you just simply have to eradicate what's been. You know, golf is that game of keep doing what's in front of you. Keep moving, one step at a time. Oh, this is heading in the wrong direction.
Uh-oh. Getting set for this next shot from the rough, what does the player need to be careful of here, Frank?
Well, this is where we're going to see exactly how good they are because, you know, that's not exactly the best lie, but it's sort of doable if you know what you're doing.
Frank, you always talk about it not compounding the error, but here again, another shot from the rough.
Yeah, if you try again.
Well, this is a humbling game, isn't it, Frank?
Well, shots like that, not to be proud of. Well, that's a little absurd, that, Rich. That shot wasn't that hard, but it's come up well short.
Didn't appear committed through impact.
Rich, too much grass between ball and club face.
Paid a price with the tee ball landing in the rough. Well, that ball nestled down just a bit in that heavy rough. And setting up here in the rough. Well, once you hit double to par, it's time to just pick up and move on. Boy, this is a long par 5, the 11th at PGA West, 617 yards. Frank, this actually isn't the most difficult shot, is it, for a high-level player?
You got a clean lie, it's firm underneath. The biggest thing, though, really, you don't want to hit the path first. Clean strike, though. This is almost like hitting off the fairway.
Into the thick stuff, that's a difficult lie. Oh, get down. Look out.
It's over. The green.
Didn't check, Frank.
Yeah, just not enough spin on that, really. I mean, that almost like took that first bounce and just ricocheted forward.
Frank, chip shot here from just on the fringe. You like to hit this the way you would a putt?
Yeah, I normally take a club that's going to land just on the flat surface of the green, then run from there. Often people take too much loft.
And that'll wrap up the first round. We saw some good golf today, Frank, but some others, they got off to a slow start.
Yeah, and I don't really know how to explain why. Maybe lack of practice rounds, maybe not enough time on the golf course. They certainly will have to regroup tomorrow and put up a show just to make the cut.
EA Sports is proud to present today's PGA Tour coverage. It's second round coverage of the Career Builder Challenge. Well, that was a nearly flawless performance on the front side, but Frank, we know it's an 18-hole game, isn't it?
That's right. Now's not the time to pat yourself on the back. Hazard.
Maybe wet. And it looks like it's in the rough there, Frank.
It might not be as bad as it looks.
Second shot coming out of the rough here. Frank, this is where the mental game really comes into play. You've hit a second consecutive shot into the rough.
This could compound very, very quickly. So now's a chance to just take a little breath, take a breather, and try to make sure this shot certainly gets out. That's a tough lie to come out of. Not surprising it's come up short.
Well short right there, but still in the game for a par. That is always so disappointing from that kind of a spot when you come up short.
Yeah, you're licking your chops over that one. A shot you think you could hit directly at the flag. Now, test for the short game.
Into the tall cabbage. That ball is swallowed up. Frank, out of the rough, best to swing a little bit easier or get after it with all you have?
Well, a little bit in between. Obviously, it's going to require a little bit of strength to make sure that club keeps going through, but it's still the planning of the shot. Once again, check short. Is there anything I have to carry? And even remember, there's always the option of just simply pitching the ball down the fairway and taking your medicine. You know, this is not heading in the right direction.
No, it looks like it's going to be in the rough. This requires a lot of speed through the ball.
That was terrible.
Wow, really off the mark. Missed the green here. Slight waggle, relaxed arms, ready to go. So, Frank, we know that the players petitioned back in the 80s to move the PGA Tour event away from PGA West. It's coming back in 2016. But what did Pete Dye say about golf courses being fair or unfair?
Well, he said it actually. He tried to say it with a chuckle, but he always said that golf's not a fair game. So why build a golf course that's fair?
Do you agree with that?
I do now. I think everything has to align itself together. When you looked at the equipment that the players were using, wooden drivers and balls that spun around, they had trouble on windy days. And these golf courses, they really were brutal. But I think now that the ball goes further, the introduction of the metal-headed driver, the utility clubs, all of those things have made these golf courses really come back into favour again. Look at what Jason Day did in 2015 at the PGA Championship at Whistling Straits on a Pete Dye golf course. That's how you have to play the game now. We have to embrace change.
How difficult is this golf course at PGA West? Well, it was ranked 8th on this year's Golf Digest, America's 20 toughest golf courses. So yet another short iron shot into a par 4 here at the 12th. Miss hit, wrong club. What happened there, Frank?
All of the above, maybe. It's That's a little bit of a head scratcher. It wasn't that hard a shot.
Frank not close, but from that lie, not bad.
No, that's excellent. Seriously, given the conditions, Rich. This is an awkward length.
Well, double par here. Time to pick up and move on.
Now teeing off here at the par 3, 13th.
Whoop, this is taken off on a weird line.
And it's going to be in the rough, it looks like. In the thick stuff.
Thick, it's brutal out there.
Just trying to make clean contact from the rough. Well, that's why on this golf course, Frank, there is a premium on hitting fairways.
You're exactly right. Might be also protecting against a fly, but that did anything other than fly.
That one is in the bunker. This will be the fourth shot now coming out of the bunker. Once you hit double par, it is time to just pick up and move on. Count that as a triple bogey. Ouch. Frank, what's the best way to make 3 here at this 389-yard par 4 14th?
I'm not sure, really. I know there's 2 definitive options, hitting it down the left or carrying over the bunker. And I think that's another example of Pete Dye. There's one of those holes you never really know if you've made the right play until you finish the hole.
Second shot from the rough. It's on the way. That one is wildly offline right there. All right, now another shot from the rough.
Yeah, this time better be better than the one we just saw.
Time to pick up and move on. So that is the end of the second round, and unfortunately, the end of the tournament for our featured player, missing the cut.
Well, they certainly didn't hit the magic number here for the tournament. Fell below the cut line, and they just couldn't make it back. There's always next week.
EA Sports, in association with the PGA Tour, proudly presents the season-long race for the FedEx Cup. Today, it's live opening round coverage of the BioWare Classic. Our featured golfer making the turn. Let's pick up with the action at the 10th.
Nothing noteworthy here in the first round, Frank, but still plenty of golf to be played.
That's right, Rich. A little bit of a dry spell, but really not a lot of damage done.
How tough is this going to be now from the rough, Frank?
Oh, it's tough to say, Rich. I mean, so much is going to depend on that lie. I'm going to need a little bit of luck.
Coming out of the rough and right up next to the hole.
This one just requires a little bit of focus. Missed putt and a drop shot here at the 10th.
Even par, currently.
Well, that's a bit disappointing.
I guarantee you, though, she thought she had that one.
Boy, the train went off the tracks here on this hole. This is for double bogey. So, 2 over par for the round. Moving on to the par 4 11th, just a little bit more than 440 yards. Frank, what's the best way to get at the golf ball when it's sitting down just a bit in the rough?
You have to accept the fact, first and foremost, that you're not going to get clean contact. So you have to decide whether the ball's going to come out short or it's going to fly. Because very rarely will it come out the normal distance of what you hit on the fairway. So if it's a little thin and wispy, chances are it might fly. If it's nestled down, you're going to have to take at least another club.
Frank, you always talk about it not compounding the error, but here again, another shot from the rough.
Yeah, if you try again. Well, that's a little absurd, that, Rich. The shot wasn't that hard, but it's come up well short.
Didn't appear committed through impact. Had the club face open just a bit at impact, and that one moves considerably to the right of the flagstick.
That was not a very good read right there.
Hate to say it, but that is a quadruple bogey, double the par, and time to pick up and move on. Par 5 12th here at the Wetlands Golf and Country Club is 576 yards. First par 5 on this backside. And setting up here in the rough.
Oh man, not a good shot at all.
It was wicked.
Look out, that's headed to the galleries. Getting set for this next shot from the rough, what does the player need to be careful of here, Frank?
Well, this is where we're going to see exactly how good they are, because, you know, that's not exactly the best lie, but it's sort of doable if you know what you're doing. Just too much juicy grass between the ball and the club face. It's always going to come up short out of that sort of light.
Pretty long putt right here. You'd be happy to get it to within 2-3 feet. So early on the backside here at the 12th hole, missed opportunity.
Settles in over the putt. That really hurts, but the round's not over. Now to the par 4 13th. Frank, what are the options here?
Well, another straight one required here, Rich. It's 450. It's not overly long in today's standard, but still, that fairway widens up where the longer hitters will actually hit. And bunkers, once again, short of a green. So as long as you can fly that second shot to at least the front of the green, then they really do not come into play. This ball never even looked like it was going down the fairway, hitting way right.
And it is not looking like a good lie. Still from 141 yards out, it's a green light special. That is always so disappointing from that kind of a spot when you come up short.
Yeah, you're licking your chops over that one. A shot you think you could hit directly at the flag. Now, test for the short game.
Frank, this is where the mental game really comes into play. You've hit a second consecutive shot into the rough.
This could compound very, very quickly. So now's a chance to just take a little breath, take a breather, and try to make sure this shot certainly gets out.
Well, once you hit double the par, it's time to just pick up and move on. Well, that'll do it for today. Not a great performance, not on the first page of that leaderboard.
Yeah, the people on the top of this leaderboard are there for a reason. They hit more fairways, more greens. It sounds easy, and I know this is a difficult course, but that's the way it's going to have to be played.
EA Sports, in association with the PGA Tour, proudly presents the season-long race for the FedEx Cup. Today, it's live second-round coverage of the BioWare Classic.
That was terrible.
Frank, there's fairway, there's rough, and then there's mulch.
Yeah, the worst thing about the mulch is all these little chips around the ball, and that's so the ball doesn't sit up. And once again, this shot might look easy, but if you just miss it a bit, it so exaggerates the outcome. Now, this is not heading in the right direction.
No, it looks like it's going to be in the rough. That one ends up in the rough.
That went sideways.
This requires a lot of speed through the ball. Mishit, wrong club. What happened there, Frank?
All of the above, maybe. It's a little bit of a head scratcher. It wasn't that hard a shot. That's a tough lie to come out of. Not surprising it's come up short.
Well short right there, but still in the game for a par. Settles in, looking to knock it in tight. Solid play, heart of the green. Big number, big disappointment.
Eighth hole here at the Wetlands, par 3, 203 yards. You like this hole, Frank?
I do, actually, but you have to have a little look at your yardage book because that front bunker will make this hole look a little shorter to the eye than actually what it plays. Green gets a little narrow as it gets deeper, but flat and, well, I wouldn't say easy. 3 here, not too bad. Second shot.
So 24 feet after that approach shot, Frank.
Yeah, it's well, just outside the what you'd think very makeable distance.
Very well done. Almost made it.
Yeah, there'll be no stress for the next one.
Just needs to keep it steady here over the putt. Just misses. Well, double par here. Time to pick up and move on.
Finishing up the front side here at the Wetlands Golf and Country Club with a par 5, 621 yards.
In the thick stuff.
Thick, it's brutal out there.
All right, now another shot from the rough.
Yeah, this time better be better than the one we just saw.
Well, no other way to say it, Frank. That's just an awful shot.
Bad. Whoop, this is taken off on a weird line.
And it's going to be in the rough, it looks like.
Yeah, it was a little over-ambitious.
This shot from 105 yards away.
Rich, too much grass between ball and club face.
Paid a price with the tee ball landing in the rough. That's a disappointment right there, Frank.
Yeah, green light special, really. Come up considerably short.
Frank, there's nothing like catching a bunker shot just perfectly. Splashes out, lands softly, and just runs up to that hole.
Yeah, it's like 3D. There's the component in the strike where it's going to land, and then the third part of it is how much will it roll.
Oh, man.
I just pushed it.
Boy, that hurts. Wow. Ugly, awful, pathetic. Pick the adjective. It fits on this hole. Frank, the nice thing about golf is that if you struggle on that front side, you can take a breath and you can regroup and you can get something going on the back nine.
During a round of golf, there's so many little things you can do, especially when you're a little awry. Check the ball position. Maybe you're starting to focus too much on swing rather than actually the shots in hand.
Frank, you know this game can just take the wind out of your sails. Tough sport.
Everybody would love to drive it down the middle of the fairway, knock it to 10 feet and make the putt. We know it's not always going to happen, but play to your strengths. You might be chipping well. You might knock the odd 30-footer in. You don't have to play perfectly to make a good score.
Into the tall cabbage. That ball is swallowed up. Second shot from the rough. It's on the way. Frank, you always talk about it not compounding the error, but here again, another shot from the rough.
Yeah, if you try again. Oh, that's off the beaten track. You got 5 minutes to find it.
Just trying to make clean contact from the rough. Chance to get it close here. Time to pick up and move on. Par 4 11th, Frank, we're looking at 443 yards.
Yeah, the Wetlands Golf Course is a really good driving course. This is another example here, Rich, where the fairway's just wide enough to reward a good tee shot, and then those two bunkers don't really come into play. But Wetlands becomes very difficult when you just start to stray a little bit off the fairway. Then you start to see why those bunkers are put there.
Frank, this one's headed way right.
And rough trees, all sorts of problems on that right side. Well, that's a little absurd, that, Rich. The shot wasn't that hard, but it's come up well short.
Didn't appear committed through impact. That's a head scratcher. No other way to put it. That close to the green and misses it badly to the right. Needs a pair of binoculars to see the hole. Looks like he just misread that. Been pretty good all day from this distance, just trying to take care of business. Hate to say it, but that is a quadruple bogey, double the par, and time to pick up and move on.
Well, early exit for one of what I thought Rich was going to be the favourite, but their week's over.
Numbers don't lie in this case, in this sport, and now a missed cut. Today's coverage brought to you by EA Sports and the PGA Tour. Welcome to the Stadium Course, TPC Scottsdale in Arizona. It's a masterful blend of challenge and playability designed by the team of Tom Weiskopf and Jay Morrish. Rich Lerner alongside Frank Nobilo for EA Sports.
The changes, Rich, they made in 2014 have just added a luster to this great venue that hosts the PGA Tour event each and every.
Well, you don't want to compound the error. Out of bounds and now back on the tee with a provisional. This one has to be in play. This will be the third shot after being penalized for going out of bounds. So she's rolled into that first cut. It's not a perfect lie, but not bad either. So in the first cut here, it could be worse. How good was that, Frank, from the rough?
Oh, that's amazing. That's a masterclass in short game.
These putts keep the round together. Well, that's a bit disappointing.
I guarantee you, though, she thought she had that one.
And now over to the fifth. It has not gone all that well early in the round for our featured golfer. What do they need to do, Frank, to turn this thing around?
Well, you can't dwell on what's just happened. There's plenty of holes ahead. Look at the scorecard, par fives.
Frank, we've all been there. You hit one in the water, you're down. How do you regroup?
You've got to start from scratch again. Everybody's going to hit bad shots. That's just the nature of the game. But compounding mistakes, that's the problem that you want to avoid.
So hit the previous shot in the water, took a drop. This now the third shot. Oh, no, this one needs a break. This one looks like it's headed out of bounds.
Now, this is not heading in the right direction.
No, it looks like it's going to be in the rough. Well, once you hit double the par, it's time to just pick up and move on. Ready to tee off now at the sixth. This is a dogleg left.
And another hole that's been stiffened by bunkers on both the left and the right side, really giving you the decision on what club to hit. Should you be bold or should you be smart?
Not very good at all right there.
No, I think it's time to sell the clubs, buy a tennis racket. This ball never even looked like it was going down the fairway, hitting way right.
How tough is this going to be now from the rough, Frank?
Oh, it's tough to say, Rich. I mean, so much is going to depend on that lie. I'm going to need a little bit of luck.
It is always so disappointing from that kind of a spot when you come up short.
Yeah, you're licking your chops over that one. A shot you think you could hit directly at the flag. Now, test for the short game.
Well, just to the right there with some room to play. Getting set now over the putt. Frank, there's an old basketball announcer who used to say when a ball went in and out of the cylinder, just the way that one did, he would say, ringtail howitzer. And that one just didn't go in. On to the par 3 7th, 215 yards from that back tee box, Frank.
This hole hasn't really changed. Still has that V-shaped green where it's very narrow in the front. A high-flying shot in here that carries that front edge, and you'll find the further and further you go back there, the more receptive and that green starts to widen.
Well, not quite enough on that one, Frank.
Yeah, coming out of the rough, not surprising, considerably short.
And it is not looking like a good lie.
Remember, out of the rough. Expect the ball to jump forward a little bit.
Once you hit double par, it is time to just pick up and move on. Count that as a triple bogey. Ouch. Now here at the par 4 8, slight dogleg to the left, Frank.
And this dogleg's made more severe now by the addition of 2 bunkers. This was a bunkerless hole off the tee in years gone by, but those 2 bunkers certainly make this a sharper dogleg. And because it forces the player to go down the right side, adds length to the already long 475 yards.
Second shot, good look at the green.
Whoop, this is taken off on a weird line.
And it's going to be in the rough, it looks like. Frank, anything you do differently from the rough in terms of your swing? Do you hinge the club a little bit more quickly?
You know, normally put the ball just a little bit further back in your stance because you want the club to be going down. Down, it's got to go down through the grass, through the ball.
You like this one, Frank?
Oh, it's a good one. Safely on.
Shouldn't be a problem here.
It went from bad to worse, and right now, horrible.
What do they say, Frank? Golf spelled backwards is
Flog.
flog. Well, that'll do it for day number 1, and a tough start for some of those who were hoping for better things.
Yeah, slow start, surprisingly, really, and hard to put your finger on why, because we saw a lot of good golf, but now, outside looking in, we'll need to play well tomorrow.
Presented by EA Sports in association with the PGA Tour. Set in the Sonoran Desert and surrounded by the majestic McDowell Mountains, we're at the stadium course at TPC Scottsdale in Arizona. Hello again and welcome. Rich Lerner alongside Frank Nobilo, set to bring you all the action for today's event. Frank, when you think about the TPC Scottsdale, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
The golf course has been radically changed in 2014, but it still hasn't lost its luster. Really, it's just been updated like the game itself for these young, strong players of the modern era.
Well, no other way to say it, Frank. That's just an awful shot.
Bad.
That's a disappointment right there, Frank.
Yeah, green light special, really. Come up considerably short.
This requires a lot of speed through the ball. Well, that's why on this golf course, Frank, there is a premium on hitting fairways.
You're exactly right. Might be also protecting against a fly, but that did anything other than fly.
Coming out of the rough and right up next to the hole. Really not much to this. The only issue would be a lack of concentration or focus. Frank, how do you explain what we saw here?
It's a mess. It's probably the easiest way to put it. This is a case of anything that could go wrong. Not just probably, it did.
At the 14th now, it's a par 4.
and a dogleg left once again. The bunker on the left side's been pushed out to the fairway to really make you think whether or not you can carry that. It's a lengthy second shot because it's going to play a little bit uphill. And this green is well protected on the left side with the two bunkers.
Second shot coming out of the rough here. Frank, we've seen guys like Phil Mickelson hit it off the cart path. How tough is this shot?
Well, for a high-level professional, actually, it just looks harder than what it is. They'd rather here than the rough any day.
Way off the mark. Misses the green to the right. Probably going to have to hit one more club here, Frank. A little bit uphill. Paying attention like a little kid at school, Frank. That baby's sitting up.
Sitting up. It's got the best view as well. You don't even need binoculars from where that ball is.
She is putting the full arsenal of her skill set on display this afternoon. Beautiful shot.
Shouldn't be a problem here, but not a formality either.
You can see the look of disgust, and it's justifiable. It's a double bogey.
Great scoring opportunity here at the par 5 15th, but Frank, I'm wondering, as a player, is your mind beginning to think about what's ahead at that par 3 16th hole?
Oh, they are. This is really the finishing stretch at TPC Scottsdale, where you get all these swing holes. 15 is a swing hole. 16, 17, and 18, where so many changes in the score can actually happen. But this one here is all about finding the fairway. A good drive down here will be well rewarded because you'll have a chance to reach this par 5 and 2.
Now the second shot to the par 5. Oh man, not a good shot at all.
It was wicked.
Frank, sadly, I've been there too often. In the water, you get down on yourself. What's the right way to approach this mentally?
Well, you've almost got to take a step backwards, Rich. This can add up so...
Unfortunately, that ball is wet. Mishit, wrong club. What happened there, Frank?
All of the above, maybe. It's a little bit of a head scratcher. It wasn't that hard a shot.
Straightforward pitch shot here, 35 yards.
I mean, this skill, and that was sublime.
Just good hands, coming out of the rough, able to manage the distance, and now in great position. Time to just pick up and move on to the next hole. Well, here we are at the 16th hole, looking at just over 160 yards. Doesn't seem all that daunting, Frank. But 160 yards with 20,000 people, horned into a little stadium in the desert, that makes it a different story.
It certainly is. This was one hole, too, where Tom Watson would send his caddy forward. He would stay back by 15. His caddy would get his yardage. Watson would simply walk on the tee. His caddy would give him the club. He would not go through his normal routine. He would simply just head away. It was one hole that he never wanted to think about. It might look simple, but it's what the player feels. It's at sneaky distance.
Well, that's a bit disappointing.
I guarantee you, though, she thought she had that one.
Just a couple of feet. That will be a 3 over on the scorecard for this hole. Time to pick up and move on. Now to the 17th, and Frank, fair to say this is one of the best short par 4s in all of golf?
It is. The drivable par 4 that's designed the way it's meant to be played is a winner. The ones that are just shortened to be made drivable, they don't work. This was designed to be a 17th hole, and it was designed to be drivable. You couldn't get a better place, and you couldn't get a better par 4.
Every once in a while you're reminded this is a pretty hard game.
That was evidence. Rich, too much grass between ball and club face.
Paid a price with the tee ball landing in the rough. Into the tall cabbage. That ball is swallowed up. Frank, you always talk about it not compounding the error, but here again, another shot from the rough.
Yeah, if you try again.
That's a head scratcher. No other way to put it. That close to the green and misses it badly to the right.
That looked like a miss hit, Frank.
The lie was okay. It's a little surprising. Maybe wrong club.
Well, double par here. Time to pick up and move on. To the 18th hole now, and Frank, the original designers stepped in and they made this hole quite a bit more challenging.
Yeah, they certainly have stiffened it up. The longest hitters in the game, the Dustin Johnsons, the Bubba Watsons, the J.B. Holmes, used to take it completely over the lake down the left side where there was just one paltry bunker. Now there's a series of bunkers, almost like the church pews at Oakmont, that are littered down the left side, stopping that attack. You're going to have to respect this hole that much more off the tee. Find the fairway. It's still a short iron in, but this finishing hole is now a proper finishing hole.
In the thick stuff.
Thick. It's brutal out there.
And setting up here in the rough.
That's an absolute beauty.
And this will be a 5-foot putt here.
Everything has gone wrong today. Just continues to be ugly.
Frank, disappointing couple of rounds there.
And consequently a miscut. No chance of playing in the weekend, but there's more than one tournament ahead.
This is EA Sports PGA Tour coverage coming up next.
Frank, this game has taken us all over the world to some absolutely beautiful spots, and this is one of the prettiest I've seen in a long time, the cliffs at Lighthouse Point along the eastern coast of Maine.
Yeah, it's always fun when we head up in the northeast area. Golf's been in this area for a long, long time. This golf course hasn't. Rather new design by Brandt and Patel, and it's lengthy, 7,700 yards. You'll get to hit just about every club in the bag, so good test today.
Not quite what he was hoping for. The tee shot in the bunker.
Digs in, ready for the bunker shot.
Yeah, second shot here. Just try and aim a little bit behind that ball, an inch or two.
That is a green in regulation as the approach shot hits the first green, but he is by no means in for par yet. A lengthy putt coming up. So a long putt there and just didn't read it quite right. Not a gimme, but well within his range. And so just getting started, even par so far. Now at the second here at Lighthouse Point, Frank, this is some tough par 3.
If you want to try and really break the hole down and be a purist here, Rich, you'd like to hit a little cut into this green, something that moves away from the water and the cliff back towards that bunker. That would be the perfect shot to hit, but such a difficult par 3. Anything on the green would be good here.
Well, he'll be disappointed with that, no doubt.
Yeah, swing didn't quite look right on that one.
Frank, you always talk about it. Don't compound the mistakes. Well, here we are, another shot from the rough.
And this one no easier than the one he's just hit.
Well, bunker play is really about technique and feel. The two greatest ever are probably Gary Player and Seve Ballesteros. Seve actually was so good, he was so skilled, that he could open up a 3-iron, that's right, a 3-iron, on a short bunker shot from a greenside bunker and splash it to a couple of feet as if he had just used a 60-degree sand wedge. Amazing. Every once in a while you're reminded this is a pretty hard game.
That was evidence.
Missed that one, and it is going towards the rough. Frank made this hole just a little bit harder hitting it into the rough.
I would say a lot harder.
Shot now from the rough. Frank, what's he facing?
Well, the lie first and foremost. If it's sitting down, then obviously you're not going to get a very good contact. Nothing wrong with coming up a little bit short of the green. Problem is turning one mistake into another.
Frank, let's hope he doesn't make double bogey now.
That's the saddest coming out in you, Rich.
This from about 10 feet. Frank, this game will drive you crazy.
Yeah, you can do so many things right, and then just something so simple, completely wrong.
Going to have to regroup now after that double bogey. Fourth hole, and looking for a quality start. It's 411 yards and a par 4.
No fairway bunkers or bunkers really to contend with here. Cliffs to the left and also water on that side. But one of the wider fairways on this front side made up for by a very small green.
Second shot coming out of the rough here. Playing this par 4, still not on the green after that second shot.
But still not done. A good third shot, maybe get away here with par. The lie pretty much dictated the result. thick rough. Tough to get that all the way to the green.
Trying to muscle it out of there, but you had to be Schwarzenegger to get that one done. How tough is this going to be now from the rough, Frank?
Oh, it's tough to say, Rich. I mean, so much is going to depend on that lie. I'm going to need a little bit of luck.
He'll need to be strong with this.
Great shot out of the rough. He avoided all the troubles just to get that on the green.
That was not an easy shot. He'll settle. Settles in over the putt. Didn't go your way. It happens in golf, so just pick up and move on. Now the fifth hole, par 4, 481 yards.
Find the fairway, and it's a fairly generous one, and you should have a shot where you want a nice lofted one over that front bunker to land softly on the green. Whoop, this is taken off on a weird line.
And it's going to be in the rough, it looks like. Not enough on that one.
Yeah, it just seemed to baby it.
All right, now another shot from the rough.
Yeah, this time better be better than the one we just saw.
Into the thick stuff, that's a difficult lie. That will be 4 over par on the scorecard for this hole. Time to pick up and move on. Par 3 6th is relatively short, 198 yards, Frank.
But this one, really, you've got to go airborne here. That bunker that protects the left side.
Presented by EA Sports and the PGA Tour. New course to most of the golfers on tour. This challenging layout just opened in 2015. Today we're along the east coast of Maine. Rich Lerner with Frank Nobilo. We'll be calling all the action from the cliffs at Lighthouse Point.
Another great design from Brand Patel, and they really threw the boat out here. Some excellent choice of holes. And you're going to see the changes in elevation. You get this on a windy day, and of course 7,700 yards will play even longer than that. A nice calm day though, Rich, and you really can shoot a good score out here.
In the thick stuff.
Thick, it's brutal out there.
This is about 125 yards. That might be a fat 8 iron for me.
That's a tough lie to come out of. Not surprising it's come up short.
Well short right there, but still in the game for a par. Locked in on the read and the speed. Well, that's a bit disappointing.
I guarantee you, though, she thought she had that one.
She would drop 2 shots if she makes this. So, 2 over early. Now at the second hole here at Lighthouse, it's a par 3, 234 yards. Difficult hole, Frank, especially when the wind picks up.
It is, and you can see with that bunker on the right side, that's obviously the bailout area because the problem side is to the left of this green. That's where the cliff starts to run. Well, that's a little absurd, that, Rich. That shot wasn't that hard, but it's come up well short.
Didn't appear committed through impact. Coverage coming your way is presented by EA Sports and the PGA Tour.
Hello again and welcome. Rich Lerner alongside my colleague Frank Navalo here today calling the action from the cliffs at Lighthouse Point. And Frank, this course features some breathtaking scenery.
It certainly does, Rich. Changes of elevation, and it's in phenomenal shape. We've got to send our thanks out to the superintendent, Peyton Duncan, who's got the course exactly primed. You should enjoy it. You should enjoy the views. Take your camera as well. This is very scenic up in New England.
Well, this is a humbling game, isn't it, Frank? Just need to settle down, relax on this next shot after going out of bounds. This is EA Sports coverage of the PGA Tour.
Always a pleasure to be along the coast of Maine, Lighthouse Point to be exact. Rich Lerner alongside Frank Navalo for EA Sports. Frank, this is sure to be another exciting day of golf out there. What are the challenges facing our players today?
The length of the golf course for a start, Rich. This golf course just under 7,700 yards. So it's one of the longest ones you'll play. And, of course, the cliffs, that's why it's called this. They certainly are in play. There is one double green out there. That's the 10th and the 13th hole. They share the same green. Lots of great design features, and you've got it on a prime.
This is EA Sports coverage of the PGA Tour.
Getting set for the action here on a beautiful afternoon. Rich Lerner alongside Frank Navalo will be calling the action for you. Frank, the players are ready to go, and as someone who's been in this situation, what's it like trying to take your game from the practice tee to the first tee?
Great question, Rich. That's the hardest part of the problem. On the practice fairway, everything's flat, everything's in front of you, you get a retake, but all of a sudden you know that each and every shot is going to count. It's not just going to count for the shot in hand, but it's
EA Sports is proud to present PGA Tour coverage. Hello again and welcome. Rich Lerner alongside Frank Navalo. We're at Whistling Straits along Lake Michigan, Kohler, Wisconsin. And this golf course was first established in 1998. Frank, what are some of the key scoring holes out here?
well, two of the par fives, the second hole and the 16th, probably give you the best chance really to reach those in two. And then there's a few short par fours really to look at, 6, 10 and 13. Actually, you could even throw 14 in that, would give you the best chance on those short fours. Par threes are really tough, so just be very wary on those par threes.
Second shot from 160.
That's a disappointment right there, Frank.
Yeah, green light special, really. Come up considerably short. Our computer gives us 23 feet, Rich.
Been pretty good all day from this distance, just trying to take care of business.
Frank, that's disappointing. You like to get out of the gates with a par.
Yeah, this is where a convenient memory would certainly help.
Just a couple of feet to 1 over par early on in this round.
Frank, here at Whistling Straits, bold is beautiful, and this second hole is certainly bold.
That it is. Bold, and if you can hit a long one down the left side, they'll open up a good view to this green. But believe me, if you miss left or right, well, you're going to find the sand.
Just a good solid tee shot right there, about 280 yards. Second shot coming up here at the par 5. Third shot, looking for a good one. That will be a great look at birdie. Shouldn't be a problem here, but not a formality either. That's a sign of a good player right there. You make bogey, disappointed right out of the gates, but you come right back and make birdie. Now to the first par 3 on this golf course. It's the third, about 188 yards.
Yeah, big green with lots of undulations, and it moves the ball from that right side towards the left, towards Lake Michigan. But club selection, important here.
And she's in the first cut. Not terrible, but may take a little work to recover. Second shot from the rough. It's on the way. Beautiful shot. That is tight.
Unbelievable. That is one to savor for the rest of the round.
Steady as she goes. Another par, and still even for the round. Frank, it's absolutely breathtaking, isn't it? I mean, you look left, and all you see are the waters of Lake Michigan. It's called glory.
Well, that's one of the amazing things that Pete Dye has done in his design of this great golf course, is to incorporate all the natural vistas that are available. Are you for real? It was terrible. You know, this is not heading in the right direction.
It looks like it's going to be in the rough. So, Frank, on this approach shot, really all you can do is try to salvage a bogey.
Yeah, just too many mistakes in the compiling. So if you can get out here with a bogey, in some respects, that's a result. Even par currently.
Putt drops. Now at 1 over par. Here at Whistling Straits, and they call this hole Snake. Frank, how do you avoid getting bitten by it?
Well, if you go left, there's water. If you go right, there's water. This hole is anything other than straight, so it suits its name. Somehow find the fairway. Best way to play this is treat it as a 3-shotter.
Frank, this one is right and is wrong.
Oh, that's off the beaten track. You've got 5 minutes to find it.
Frank, this is where the mental game really comes into play. You've hit a second consecutive shot into the rough.
This could pound very, very quickly, so now's a chance to just take a little breath, take a breather, and try to make sure this shot certainly gets out.
Solid play, heart of the green. Needs a pair of binoculars to see the hole. Speed wasn't bad on that long putt, but the read wasn't very good. And getting ready for the putt.
It's a cruel game.
Clean this up with a tap. Been a rocky road to this point. 4 over par on the round. Set to go now at the 6th. It's a pretty short par 4.
Yeah, slight dogleg to the right, but you can play it straight away. There's a series of bunkers down that left side, and then they really choke the fairway at about 320 yards.
That's not what they wanted. Way off target. Getting set for this next shot from the rough. What does the player need to be careful of here, Frank?
Well, this is where we're going to see exactly how good they are, because, you know, that's not exactly the best lie, but it's sort of doable if you know what you're doing.
Mishit, wrong club. What happened there, Frank?
All of the above, maybe. It's a little bit of a head scratcher. Wasn't that hard a shot. Just too much juicy grass between the ball and the club face. It's always going to come up short out of that sort of light.
That's a bit offline in the rough.
Under out of the rough. Expect the ball to jump forward a little bit.
Time to move on to the next hole. Frank, some of these holes are absolute mind blowers. I mean, this seventh is like nothing I've ever seen.
It actually reminds me of a hole in New South Wales in Australia at the La Perouse or New South Wales golf course.
So, dropped a shot after ending up in the water on that recent miscue. Now on to his third shot after the last one went into the water.
Oh, this is heading in the wrong direction.
Uh-oh. NASA, we have a splashdown. Not what you wanted to hear, but this is the fifth shot after the ball went into the water. Well, once you hit double the par, it's time to just pick up and move on. This is EA Sports, PGA Tour coverage coming up next. Hello again and welcome. Rich Lerner alongside Frank Nobilo. Really looking forward to the action today here at Whistling Straits. What a stunning layout overlooking Lake Michigan here in Kohler, Wisconsin. And what a great test, Frank, kind of at least in terms of the look, a seaside links.
It is. It's also one of those golf courses, Rich, that you normally play better the second time around. And the reason why I say that, Pete Dye is the mark. That's as bad a shot as I've seen for a long while.
This is EA Sports, PGA Tour coverage coming your way. We're here at Whistling Straits in Kohler, Wisconsin. Rich Lerner alongside Frank Nobilo for EA Sports, set to bring you all the action out on the course today. Frank, this golf course is set in the Midwestern part of the United States, but when you play here, you almost feel as though you're being transported to another continent altogether.
Yeah, it looks like a links golf course. Obviously marvelous views of Lake Michigan, but already hosted in its short time 2 major championships. The PGA Championship back in 2004 where Vijay Singh won, and of course 2010 when the victor was Martin Kaymer.
Frank, not overly long, but still a pretty good spot and in the fairway.
Yeah, that's in that 280 mark.
Second shot, good look at the green. On the green, and a chance for birdie here on the first hole. Now this putt from 23 feet. You couldn't ask for much more than that, except to make it. As this one for par. And so just getting started, even par so far. Ready to tee off at this magnificent second hole. Frank, all I see are bunkers and water.
Well, that's pretty much what everybody else is going to see as well. Ideally, hit it down the left, though, and then you don't have a blind second shot. Even though you can be on the fairway on the right side, well, you won't see the green.
Frank, you've just hit one out of bounds. What's the way to approach this next shot?
Try and get the steam out of your ears for a start.
Third shot now after having gone OB. EA Sports is proud to present today's PGA Tour coverage. Welcome to Whistling Straits in Kohler, Wisconsin. Rich Lerner alongside Frank Nobilo. Frank, really amazing what man can do, shaping the land to make Wisconsin look like Scotland or Ireland or the moon, for that matter.
Well, this golf course is designed by Pete and Alice Dye, and you could say it's
Today's coverage brought to you by EA Sports and the PGA Tour. Hello again and welcome. Rich Lerner alongside Frank Nobilo. Always nice to begin a round of golf with one thing in your bag, Frank, besides the 14 clubs, and that's a little bit of hope.
You could say a little bit of luck as well. Yeah, expectations always run high on the first tee. You always think, could this be the day that you have the dream round? There's only one way to find out. Tee off. Let's see what happens.